Hey folks, it's Raj for Reckoner, back again to take a look at a new game called Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. The game is described as an anthology of Americana. It is a very heavy story mechanic based, think sort of Tom Sawyer meets video game, that type of thing. But probably for a bigger reason that it's getting a lot of buzz is its amazing voice cast. This game has, from the Telltale's The Walking Dead series, Lee, who is Dave Fennoy, and Clem, Melissa Hutchinson. We also have Cissy Jones, who played Delilah in Firewatch from the very popular game by Campo Santo. Kimberly Brooks, who played Ashley in the hugely popular Mass Effect series. And then its big ticket voice actor item, Sting. Ex-Police frontman and music legend Sting is one of the main voices in Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. So with all of that in mind, let's dive in and play an hour or so.
This land is built on stories. It's one big story, America is, woven of many small ones. Stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. Wander the land, explore, meet people, gather stories and spread and share them. The most important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Here we go.
Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days.
Tough choice. Straight into it. Feather in the pot.
You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open.
Guess that's me.
You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good. The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray.
So I'm good at cards. Royal flush. It's not too shabby.
Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand?
See, I don't like I'm in. That's all I can do. I'm in, but I don't understand the mechanic. Like, why have this clicking through a single selection and not
He
just
deals,
animated?
you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high.
I have a feeling something can beat me.
But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask.
Interesting. Well, at least here I have two choices, which makes sense. But I feel like that... I get they're building a mechanic here, but it just doesn't feel like I needed it. Now, I'm pretty much sure I'm going to lose. I'm going to look at my cards.
Yep. 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades.
So ultimately, I have no choice because I'm going in anyway.
The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Which means he has... I think it's hearts are higher. What the hell? Oh, okay. Whoa. Tricky.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it?
Hi, Sting.
It's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that. Your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie.
Continue.
All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know.
At least it does give me an interlude to talk. This sounds very American Godsy. Anyone that's read any Neil Gaiman or watched the recent TV series, then sounds very similar.
To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy.
Bro?
Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit, perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie?
You tell me, Sting.
Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
Ooh. So what do we got? The Tower. Death, change, endings, moving on. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, Fate, and Luck. The World. Choice and Morality. Justice. 3 of Staves. Travel. Nothing here. And then nothing over here. I'm going to go with Wheel of Fortune. Tell a story. Tell the story of tossing a pair of bone dice. Oh, I think that's meant to be tell the story by tossing a pair of bone dice on a blood velvet table. They come up snake eyes and wink at you. Okay.
It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you.
Sure thing, Sting.
It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that.
Not many at all. What now? Do I tell another story? Of a black and grey city where every building is filled with desiccated corpses. Oof. Sure.
I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back.
So these are changing as I tell them. I wonder if I exit, does that... I don't know. What, do I want to tell all of these to you? Why are these ones greyed out? I'm just going to tell them all. The northbound train
Travel?
flanking rights.
That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them. People get bored hearing the same stories over and over, but an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another.
Rip-roaring? Okay. Endless series of doors and different kinds, each leading only to more doors. More doors. TM.
You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story? Or it don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety.
Okay, last one that I can tell. Painting of a cloud of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of land of promise and plenty.
Your deepest desires? Your greatest wish? Heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain? El Dorado, the promised land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine.
Zing.
Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing. Go on your way, seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Me too. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Stories that I carry around like seeds. Oh. 3D. So I can walk in any direction. Oh, Canada. Like a skeleton. Crossing the border. Nope. Can't go to Canada. Can I run? Nope. So there's a big fat line here that I feel like I'm supposed to take. Or follow. Some chicken or something in here. Is this, can I zoom in? Nope. Search.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway.
Strange.
The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?"
Sure.
You're about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. You know these girls? Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. "If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash," sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
Move on. Women arrested for bootlegging. It's in the lake. Oh, walking on water. Certainly giving you the old walking experience, that's for sure. Alright, well, I can see he's like floating here, so. I wish I could zoom in or run or do anything. Oh, except tap out of it.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle.
I guess if you move on, I don't get a story out of it, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm collecting stories, so.
The shape gives a start.
"Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Why
Pa
not?
doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding."
Tough one. Look, oh, the icon changes. Does that mean I go wandering? And that means a chess piece? Let's look for his
His
dad.
father must have been here at some point, but you sure can't see him now,
"Please go. He's coming back any minute.
says the boy, growing agitated.
He's going to see you talking to me. Please, go!"
He only calms down when you leave. You don't see another soul for miles.
Still got a story. Portland. If that's Canada, that's Portland. Shouldn't the water be on the other side? No. Alright, just checking. So right mouse button zooms in, and when I stop walking I get the compass underneath me. Lots of stories here.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore.
So there's the chest. Well, it's not a chest. It looks like a crown with something, or an upside down chalice or something. And then, so obviously these symbols mean something. I need to collect certain types. There's no. Let's go with
Just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of spent tobacco out of a huge ceramic pipe.
We got
About another year, I guess. Another year of this town being here, he replies. The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. A confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise.
I do like the style, like the drawing. It looks like it's almost done with a texter or Sharpie. I've completely forgot what the story there was, but yeah, it does
a
look good.
well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a sec. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere as far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes.
Let's approach the woman.
You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench. You may. Lovely outside, isn't it? Her eyes are a beautiful shaded brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat. Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris.
Okay. Over to the lighthouse.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you. At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door. Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door. Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. I always behave myself. He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead.
It does very much read like the great American novel.
After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in. Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. Tea? He offers.
Yes, please.
Oh, we manage. The tall one sits on the sofa, casually wrapping an arm around the other lighthouse keeper. The quiet suits us just fine. He needs his quiet time. He's a writer. The tall one grunts. I dabble, but you must have some good stories from the road.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave. A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start. The man with the truck leaps into the street. "Brother!" he shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle. "Brother!" he screams. They embrace in the road. 30 years, hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him. "No, 32! Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling. "Take a photo of us," the driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck.
Tripod, eh?
The long-lost brothers pose
that?
in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount.
So I got some cash.
My tale, my vagrant song.
What's above me? Can't really see the icons very well.
The
Even though I'm
stream
zoomed
is a
in.
clear, reflective shade of blue. Unusual in this region, where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes
It's not a goat.
fixed on your every movement. You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence.
Excuse me. Let's approach the goat.
Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, two of its four walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out. The goat
go
opens
closer.
its mouth and wails. A protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back. The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke.
Set up camp. What's this do?
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is.
Yeah.
This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip.
Hey, Flip, Cass.
I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
Right. Okay, so here is the icons. It's my subject because the boss likes tarot cards. This is tell a person a story about love, for example, and they will tell you something for their own. Okay. Nice over and size your storytelling. Person you want to talk to. Okay. Okay, so tell them what they want, let the eye open up. Gonna see them again, so don't have to get them all on side straight away. So what's an exciting story? Family, okay, it's Queen, it's just her head. Love, sadness, authority, future. What else have we got? Freedom. Nothing particularly exciting. Let's go authority. The bootleggers.
Well, that was something. You spin a good yarn.
Open up the eye a little bit.
Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
Thrilling. The Wingo's pretty thrilling.
Well, I sure was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day. Sad. Well, so you think just 'cause I'm young, I gotta be sad, crying after my mama every night. I don't need you looking after me, so if you're offering, don't. And I thought I told you to be. What you really ought to be asking yourself is if you want to keep enjoying my spot or not.
I have a feeling that I'm going to keep enjoying your spot whether I tell
I'm
you a
in the
good
mood
story or
for
not.
something real funny like.
Funny. Family, future, love. I don't really have anything funny. I guess I can just, can I exit? Can I, like, not?
Leaving already? Well, me too. I think I'll go check out what's happening up the road this way. Maybe I'll see you around.
New Jersey, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, okay.
The trample life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Right, I just didn't have the stories that I wanted to hear. So it looks like the general loop is walking around and finding these stories, building up my inventory of them, and then befriending you don't know where all these people share sounds like, yeah. Okay. I want better stories this time though. Yeah. Yeah, so essentially walking around, hold the control to whistle that can match up the notes you walk faster. What notes?
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks.
Oh, excuse me, boring story.
The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key in the morning as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?" You tell him it was just perfectly fine. You don't mention the small feet trampling outside your door, or the dreams of blood seeping from the bed frame. You don't say that every shadow seemed to contain something vicious and alien, threatening to escape.
That's nightmarish.
The snow has turned to a dirty slush that clings to your shoes. On your way to the road, you feel the stare of 4 tiny eyes somewhere in the shadowed eaves of that crooked house.
Dang. Alright, so this is my inventory. Dice. Nothing else. Heart, sleep, cash. There's a lot of stories out there. Active stories. Wow, it really is all of America. Oh, it must have been a different Portland, because I was thinking Portland, Oregon. Train yard, character story. That's me. Lighthouse. So these are all the stories that I picked up. Little car here. Maybe the cars. Oh, sorry, train yard. Okay, let's go to the train yard. Alright, I want to be a grifter. I want to get on the back of a train. Beck Quinn. So we've got 4x4, 16 characters that we've got to meet and essentially open up their eyes, which means they tell us the story. The yada yada. Journey log, stories. Cool. Alright. City, yeah. The air stinks of gasoline and trash, and you're boxed in by brick, but damn, there's something invigorating. It's pretty true. Alright, let's store. What can we buy? A bagel? Slice of pizza? Reuben? Coffee? Well, it looks like my heart is full. I'm cashed up. And I don't need sleep. Can I earn more money? Beg or look for work? Let's look for work. It's just more floors at random. Yeah. Good job cleaning. So it doesn't really show me how much money I've got, but I want food. It's at the train station. Ooh. Let's go to Detroit. Oh, so I've got no money now. So I can only hold one coin at a time. That's half a coin. So now I've got to... Let's just panhandle. Not wasting time. Mopping floors. Save the cash. It's a full coin. So there's actually a few mechanics in here. I assume this goes down whether that's through walking around or I don't know, hearing a bad story from someone or someone trying to hurt me.
Here, can you find her? His voice is soft, cooing. He's lowered himself down so that his head is level with the two blonde-topped boys next to him. Can you find Grandma? They're pulling ears of corn off stalks with uncommon gentleness.
So that one was the authority one, which I've already got that one story, so let's try
There
the
she
exploit one.
is. He points to a specific cob. It's enormous, but otherwise unexceptional. This one's not for eating, the man continues. No, this one we keep. Come on, boys. We better get home before dinner time. Harvest starts tomorrow. He turns to lead his children back towards where you're standing.
Oh, I want the
He
different.
seems beatifically distracted as he gingerly carries the pristine ear of corn in one hand, never noticing you. His children tail after him. One of them, his blonde mop of hair mirroring the bright yellow maze, seems to glance at you, but not really understand what he sees.
Beatifically. There's a word for the calendar. Beatifically distracted as he gingerly carries the pristine ear of corn. It is a very beautiful way of writing, very typical of the
And there it
Americana
is.
folk story.
Subtle, but perceptible. A patch of red spots on his face, fuzzy and fungal.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful. This map, I feel, is letting it down the most. It does add some interactivity into the game, so you can be walking around, choosing where I want to go. But it just feels weird. I still don't know this whistling mechanic.
Just a moment there.
He says, shaking your hand.
I'm Paul Dalhart from the Republican Herald. You may have heard of it. Syndicated in 6 counties.
No, never heard of it. Yeah, so
Well, no matter. But listen, you may have noticed a vocal few out there. I call them naysayers, who'll throw up their hands and fly the white flag as soon as life gets a little tough. But wouldn't you agree that it's never been a better time to live and do business in this country?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I should stop clicking on things when I'm trying to say stuff. But yeah, the stories are quite nice. I don't know if they're attention grabbing enough that I really want to keep going through and listening to them. I get the point of it, that I'm meant to collect these and say the right things to different people that I meet along the way. And they are kind of interesting in a way, but...
Ha! Pessimism! Negativity! Faint-heartedness!
He claps his notebook shut.
If
it's interesting in its own way, but at the same time it's not really drawing me in at the moment. So that's the train that I essentially got then over here. Let's go find this guy. So he's southeast. So I just picked up what's these ones? Active story. Oh no, that's active stories. Journeyman, the world. Okay, southeast. So down this way. Cleveland, Ohio. Home of the Browns. Cleveland Browns. Made their first playoffs. Oh, hey, that's Gerard. Where are you going to go to though, bro? I don't want to go there anyway. Let's go. Keep going to Cleveland.
The baby buffalo lies tangled by a fence, wire biting into its flesh. Please, it says, I must reach the sanctuary before they find me.
Well, you're a buffalo that
The
talks,
mice
so...
never hunters of my kind. I am the last born. Every year it repeats. I must run. They must chase. It is the cycle that lets my people survive. You hear hoofbeats. A ways back down the road, a cloud of dust.
I'm gonna free you.
The wire cuts into your hands, but you untangle the animal. The buffalo charges off as soon as it's free. Come on! You glance behind. You run alongside the buffalo. Not far. It grunts. Just ahead. You see the boundary, a line of rocks that mark the border, but the hoofbeats sound close. The ground dips, and the beast stumbles and falls. They'll be on you any second.
I'm going to carry the buffalo.
You snatch up the beast and run for the boundary line. All you can hear is the pounding hooves and the whooping of the riders. The buffalo crosses the line and turns with a defiant bellow, a primal sound that far outstrips its size. It drags its feet through the dirt, kicking up a cloud of dust. When it settles, the four are nowhere to be seen. You hear the distant clamor of a herd in motion.
So what was that one? That was the Empress, the last buffalo around Cleveland. So what happened to me there? So I lost some heart helping the buffalo. So I need some food at some point. Can I get that here in Cleveland?
A hurried little girl collides into you with a wheelbarrow full of hay. Nearly knocked.
Lost? Me? No, not at all.
She stands.
Well, I found this critter, but my daddy won't let me keep it unless I take real good care of it.
Relating this dilemma has put her on the verge of tears.
Do you know how I can be the very best pet owner in the world?
Well, yeah.
The girl
food and
bursts
shelter.
into hysterical laughter, like she just heard the funniest joke.
I don't know how to feed it when it don't have a mouth.
She smiles so bright.
That's all it takes. Gosh, I already love it so much.
I wouldn't know what it was. It had no mouth. Interesting. Oh, there's two things above me now.
Why, hello there. Look like that's a heavy bag you're carrying. Let me get that for you. I insist.
Thanks, Franklin.
You see this uniform? It means you can trust me to make sure this is the most comfortable journey you've ever had in your life. Who am I? Well, I'm no George, I'll tell you that. But that's not important. This trip is about you, friend. Anyway, you must have some funny stories to tell. Share one.
Okay. Funny. Sadness, no. One of these has to be. It's gotta be that one. Don't have funny. Freedom. I haven't got funny, my friend. I've got travel. Sadness. Let's go with that is definitely not the right story.
Might not be telling that one to the boys, actually. If you're looking for freedom, just think about how magnificent a train is. How the railroad binds this country together. That's freedom. And tell me something that'll make me laugh. I could use it.
I ain't got no chuckle stuff. Sorry, man.
Well, if you need to leave, of course, please. I'm traveling in the morning, like I do every day. A porter's life is one of constant movement. Next, I'm headed down the rails this way.
Going to Indiana.
I hope your trip is smooth and enjoyable. Have you considered traveling by train?
I've already traveled by train.
Perhaps we'll meet again, on a train or at one of my stops. There's still more I could share with you about.
Alright, I need something. Do. So use the arrow keys in conjunction with holding down the control key. And we sing a little tune. And if I was walking, apparently I would walk quicker. Oh yeah. But then I'm not really looking at the map as I walk. That's a cool little mechanic. Difficult, but interesting nonetheless. Alright. Let's get us some stories. So it's a story I've already heard before. So I've essentially learned the story twice. That lets me embellish and tell it better.
Barn and Silo
Open the
have seen
eye
better
bigger.
days. One big storm might bring the whole structure down. He sighs.
Alright, I'm just skipping through some of
My
these
boy
now.
is missing. I haven't seen him since last night.
Let's check the roof.
You climb the ladder and make your way across the roof. A trail of empty beer bottles leads you past a You maneuver your way along the edge, keeping your weight off the rotted panels.
Ooh.
The man's waiting at the bottom of the barn ladder.
Anything?
Well,
There's a spark of hope in his eyes. He
I'm just
chokes
gonna
back
tell
a
him.
sob. I told him not to go up there. I told him.
What am I meant to do? Not tell him that his son's dead in the silo and just, like, have him find it in a week or
The
something?
car is a lifeline. Your one hope to escape the encroaching storm. It rattles along a few yards ahead of the storm front, jouncing and juddering. One pothole away from being swallowed by the choking dust. You grab the straps and haul yourself up.
Oh,
Shouts the woman on the back.
a fellow observer.
She's wrapped in a scarf and aviation
It's Helen
goggles,
Hunt from Twister.
juggling
She's
a pen and a note
following the
while
storm.
We're not done with our observations.
She threads one arm through the straps and makes another attempt to write, but it comes out illegible.
Blast it.
You clamber through the open back window, and she hands you pen and notebook. You scribble furiously while she dictates the finer qualities of the dust and...
Alright, let's, what was that? Sort of southwesty? Yeah, it's over towards Cincinnati here. That'll be our mate Franklin. Oh, nailing it. Alright, so let's get some food. Still don't need sleep. Let's go. Reuben there. And some cash. Just by panhandling. Just giving us a bunch of cash. Sorry, she was a bit scared of us. All right, cool.
surrounded by fields of corn and rye. Inside, the sunlight filtering in through two small windows. It's addressed to Martha and If you find this, I'm already gone. Don't come looking for me. Rest is scratchy spirals and circles of halfway readable writing about the noises from the cellar and the hunger in the darkness.
Let's go to the
The
cellar.
door is unlatched. The ground below is deeply stained with some dark residue you can't identify. The man lowers his paper as you come near. His weather-beaten face is drawn. They say it's spreading. The dust is strangling the land. Half my cattle suffocated in the last storm. We cut open the carcasses to salvage the meat. They were filled with mud.
There's a lot of sadness.
He calls after you, his voice hoarse. This whole land is dying. If the harvest fails again, people will too. You walk on.
My favorite song.
So some of these retold stories don't seem to have a narration. Have it to her daughter's friend, it's true. I have heard the one between the female bootleg. It was the very first story that I heard in this game. Interesting. close by, except for old Franklin here. If we go due south towards Tennessee, that's not my old friend Quinn, is it? No, it's something different. Let's head that way, and then have a chat to the individual there. See if we can match up a couple of the stories to exactly what they're asking. See if we can get that eye to open up a little bit. If we do, great. Progression. If not,
Deep in the fields, you come across
No
a group of
progression.
young men clearing weeds and sod from a roadside plot. There's an odd frenzy
and as
to the way
interesting as
these
some of these
boys
stories
ripping
are,
the
the little
sod
choose your own
apart.
adventure componentry that
When they
seems to
notice you
change
approaching,
the outcome.
They jog over and stand. The youths
It's
share
not
nervous
holding
looks.
me
The oldest steps
deeply
forward.
content. Now as
Get
I'm
going,
playing, I'm not listening to the
blurts,
story, I'm not reading the
leveling a
story.
pitchfork
I'm
at
looking
your
at these
gut.
icons down the bottom,
His hands are shaking. You hurry
choosing
off,
which one
but the boys
is going
don't
to
check
give me
to see
something
if
different,
you really
potentially
left.
build out my stable of
From
stories.
the top of the next rise, you watch them.
And then we're moving on. I guess listening to them has the added bonus of potentially reinforcing some of them, or asking a question, answering a question that could potentially reinforce them. If I don't pay close attention, then that's my detriment, and I lose that
The
potency of the
twisters
story.
touch down in a cornfield. Fence posts flying in its wake.
That's a new one.
A huge.
God damn it, Bill!
Another man hollers, clapping his hands to his hat to keep. You follow the man and his hat into a
Chose
root
this
cellar.
one because it's a different
Bill's
icon.
damn.
So it's sort of somewhat losing its charm in that respect.
Over a shared, crusty loaf of bread, the farmer notices you looking at a prominent, tattered scarecrow in the field.
Like smoke coming out of its eyes.
You like old Barney?
Yeah, I do.
Does a damn good job scaring the vermin.
Shame about the real fella. He was a funny one. When he disappeared, leaving just the clothes we gave him, I figured I'd put him to use. Never got to know his proper name neither. Across the field, the wind in the corn whispers. Or is it?
Barney the Scarecrow. It's funny, my fingers are automatically going to hit shift to sprint. Continually forgetting the fact that I need to whistle. Here we go. Gator Jackson.
I wanted to be the best blues singer in the world. By God, I was. I was born a poor girl in Memphis, Tennessee. No father, he run out. No mama either. She was there, but she weren't there really. All alone but for my Uncle Richard, my baby brother Marcus. All alone but for the guitar. I'm in the mood for a good, hopeful story. You got any?
Story. Alright. Hope. Come on, Hope. Death change. Heaven's desire. Wishes come true. That could be it. Could be what we're after. Cool, yeah. Bondage, traps, imprisonment. Freedom. Choice, morality, travel. Joy. Nature, love, family, future, past. Oh, it's not funny. Authority. Alright, let's go with death, change, endings, moving on. Wishes come true.
Trying to scare me.
Oh,
I don't care for them. Ever.
okay.
The white man showed up in Memphis. Heard me singing, I thought he was an angel when I met him. Ooh, now I'm in the mood for a story with a bit of that tragedy to it.
Tragedy. About imprisonment. Sadness. I guess. That's pretty tragic.
Oh, now that pain.
Yeah.
I got stories about sadness. Something in my mama just broke when my father couldn't get her to eat most days. Let alone, I'm in the mood for a good, hopeful story. You got any?
Hope. Joy. You'd think I'd actually know what these things are by now. Past memories, travel, choices, freedom. Not really. Hope. Joy.
Those thrills don't. Joy. My Uncle Richard. Ooh, nothing in the world like. Ooh, now I'm in.
Tragedy. You can't select something you've already said. That's interesting. Even though I've got multiple tragic stories. Past memories. Sounds pretty tragic.
That's like a song. Pretty and sad. I wasn't one to accept death. To live beside it, that wasn't my way.
No?
I told myself I was running away to take care of my brother Marcus. But I was just running.
So I guess this is the character, Gita, opening up and telling me a little bit more as my eye has opened more. Looks like I've got one more story before the sun comes up here.
Ooh, you got any stories with a bit of excitement to 'em?
Let's see if we've got something with a bit of excitement. Freedom. What's in here? Shiftless father left him alone in the woods. Silent twins. That's exciting. That sounds exciting. Shootout.
Well, you know some wild ones. I like that.
That's pretty good.
Authority. Well, the man, he told me he loved my songs. But when we got to Chicago, I knew he just loved my story.
There's other than the shadow animation and the fire here, there is a little flicker, sometimes the eye movement, dogs. But I just, as beautiful as it is, and I like the aesthetic, I just feel like they just could be just a tiny bit more, maybe fingers moving on the guitar, like add an extra element. I don't know. It's
Little
probably,
black girl all alone in the world. And would you tell the audience what this song means, child?
yeah, probably just being picky here.
The sun is up. One more night gone. I need to... If you want to hear more about the deal I made, you can look for me up the road this way. I was about 25 when I left my first record contract. No more richer than I was before. Those men took me around like a freak show. Me and my guitar, my sad songs. I didn't know what to do once I was free again. Alone, drinking my sorrows. That's where the devil found me.
Definitely opening up a lot of info. what you haven't seen pop on screen is an achievement for talking to the blues singer. So let's have a look in here. Progress. Chapter 2, whereas these guys stuck on Chapter 1. There you go. Pretty good. I think that's a good point to end it up.
All right, the first hour of Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. Really interesting. Love the idea of the game. I did find that as I progressed through, I became less interested in the stories, which really is the heart of the game, this anthology of Americana as it's described as in its synopsis. But those stories then turned very rapidly into me looking for the little icons that meant that I could redeem them when I was having the conversations with the main characters that I was encountering along the way. So very quickly did it change from this interesting, unique stories, which definitely they are, but it then turned itself into this, collection, find the right one, go down the right path, get the right icon, which meant that I could then have the dialogue that opened up things further, and I could progress down the path with the main characters throughout the story. Obviously, we didn't get back to see the wolf, which was the Sting character that gave us the task, who tricked us with the hand in the very beginning. But I'm sure he pops up to sort of guide us or talk to us and take us on further down the path. Now, the game itself is said to have 219 of those mini vignette stories throughout it, so quite a lot to collect. There's quite a lot of dialogue. The narration in there must have taken a very long time, and the narrator does a fantastic effort. The voice work is really well done, so I take my hat off to the guys for creating that. The game is $20 US on Steam, available in the US Feb 28th, which is March 1st for us in Australia. It's Steam, SteamOS, Linux, Mac OS, Windows. It covers the whole gamut. Very accessible for anyone that's wanting to give it a try. If you are very much on the side of a storytelling mechanic, then this is definitely a game that you want to try, and I think you'll enjoy it for that. If you want to run and gun, then obviously this is not the title for you. That said, the only other thing that I want to add is the map mechanic, where you're walking around in the 3D environment versus the 2D storytelling environment. It seems just a little bit out of place. Like, I get what they're trying to do, and it does add sort of a gamification level onto the title, but it felt like it was sort of it didn't quite fit. It didn't quite feel like it was supposed to be in the same realm. The whistling mechanic was really good once I finally figured out how to do it at the same time. The idea that I could hitchhike and catch a train as like a grifter, that was all very cool. But the actual 3D modeling of my skeletal sort of character as it was walking around this version of America just felt a little strange. Also, on top of that, you have the mechanics behind your health and getting money, but you can't have more than one coin at one time. I never had the sleep meter go anywhere. It was always full, so I'm not really sure how that worked either. There were elements that weren't really sort of introduced well in the title, but again, that's not what the game's about. The game is about the storytelling. The game is about these wonderful little vignettes, the beautiful animation within them, the voice acting, which is absolutely superb. And so there's a lot of really great things all coming together to make it interesting and potentially worth your time and money. So with that in mind, Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, I have to keep reminding myself that title is a bit of a tongue twister. Great, interesting to play. I think for those of you who are watching, you will know straight away whether this is something you want to keep playing, and for the other half of you know that this is not. Check it out if you are so inclined. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We'll see you soon, very soon actually. We've got a bunch of games to try out, so stay tuned for that over at reckoner.com.au.